Welcome to episode 6 of Learning Chess Classics. And in today's video, we will be seeing a game played in 1893 between Fleissig with the white pieces and Schlechter once again with the black pieces. Now, why we decided to show this game is because over here, white played a very dubious opening and black capitalized on it right from the start. So over here, white played the opening b4. Now again, I do not recommend this opening. It's known as the Polish opening or the Swarovski opening, if I am not wrong. And why I don't like this opening is because, as we have learned in chess, it's very important to get, control these four central squares from the start. And this move again, it's of no use. So e6 was played in the game, bishop b2, knight f6, a3, and again over here black played the move c5. Now again, this is not the very best of the moves because let's say white can simply take the pawn on c5. Yes, you develop your bishop with a tempo, but again you have exchanged your c pawn for the b pawn, and c pawn again, it can take control of one of these squares, and it's always not advised to exchange one of your pawns that is towards the center against the pawn that is towards the flanks or not towards the center. So over here, exchanging the b and the c pawn is not good for black. But in this game what was played was the move b5, which is again, a very critical mistake because white has just lost the tempo, and this pawn is again, it's going to be a weak pawn. And the you know and this is okay, this already looks bad because after a move like d5, black has control of the center. Now in this position it is very important to play a move like e3, trying to protect this pawn on b5. But what white played over here is the move d4, and now this is a very critical mistake. Now in this position, black has many options. One option is to take the pawn on d4, one is to simply push the pawn to c4, and then again, there are options like bishop e7, knight bd7, queen b6. But can you find the way how black immediately starts the attack over here? Like d4 is again a very bad move because it's also, it's stopping the path of your bishop. Now over here, black started the attack by playing the move queen to a5 check. Now, black is attacking the pawn on b5, and there is only one way how you can do save the pawn is by playing the move knight to c3. But again, of course, it's a pin over here. So what does black do? He plays the move knight to e4, putting the pressure on c3, and there is only one way to defend this, which is queen d3. Now over here, cd4, queen d4, and here black played a very nice move, bishop to c5, and this is already 0-1. Black is already winning. Now in the game, what was played was the move queen to g7, taking the pawn on g7. Now over here, black could have simply played the move rook to f8, and there is no way how white can stop the pawn, can save the pawn on f2. For example, if you play a move like e3, black over here has a very strong move, which is the move bishop to e7. Now, the idea of this move is to go to f6, and you cannot stop the knight. You cannot save the knight on c3. For example, if you play a move like knight g to e2, there is simple bishop f6, and you lose the c3 knight. For example, you take queen h7, and then there's simply knight c3, which is just winning for black. Now, if you play the move, let's say queen to d4, again, you just cannot stop bishop f6, and the knight on c3 is just falling. But in the game, what was played was the move bishop into f2 check. Now king to d1 is forced. Now again, over here also a move like rook f8 is black is simply better and close to winning. But over here, black plays a very nice move and a very interesting move, the pawn to d4 hit. And I'm not saying it's hitting the knight, but it is spinning the knight on c3, because if you take a move like knight into into e4, I mean, I'm sure you all have seen it. There is simply queen e1, which comes with a very nice checkmate on the board. So the knight is pinned, and over here, black plays the move queen into h8 check. Now king e7 was played, and black played the captured the bishop on c8. Now over here, black is completely winning because you see the three pieces, the queen, the knight, and the bishop. All these three pieces are in the attack, and you are completely crushing. Now over here, black simply has this move d into c3 and you're completely winning. The idea is to take the bishop on b2, queen e1 comes with a check, and there is no there's simply no defense for white. Now I will show you that why over here all the moves for white are losing. For example, let's say white captures the pawn on c3, giving up the exchange. Like over here, black is only down an exchange, which is good for black, but there is no way white can stop the checkmate over here. For example, let's say you go king to c1. Now black plays a very nice move, knight to a4, taking control of the b2 square and threatening a mate on e1. And there is no way how white can save this mate. For example, let's say if you play a move like queen b7, that is simply knight d7, and you are just lost. All the moves lead to checkmate. Now, if you play a move like knight f3 over here, that is simply bishop to e3 check. And over here, you cannot take the pawn on b5, but there's a very strong move over here, rook to b8, and black is completely winning. Now, let's say over here, you directly play the move knight to f3. Now, here, since you haven't taken the pawn on b7, there is bishop to e3 check. And after you go, and you cannot go king d1 because knight b2 comes with a checkmate. So after king b1, you can simply take the pawn on b5 and followed by queen b2, which is a checkmate on the board. So you cannot take the pawn on c3. Now let's say you play king to c1. Now this is again, it's completely losing because you have c into b2 check. After a move like king b2, again, the same idea, queen b5 check. And over here, you want to put your knight on c3, giving a checkmate, but the queen is stopping it. So what do you play? You play the brilliant move knight to a6. The queen cannot go to any of these squares. And let's say you play queen into a8. There is simply knight to c3, which is a checkmate over here. So even a move like king c1 does not work. Now, if you play a move like queen into b7 check, again, black simply goes king f6, and yeah, queen b7, king f6, and let's say you take the rook on a8. Over here, there's a very strong move c into b2, and you're threatening not only b takes a1 checkmate, but also queen e1 mate, and there's in the next move, white is just getting checkmated. And over here, white can play any other move, but there's no defense to black's strong attack. So over here, the only move that was left, and white did play the move, is bishop to c1. Now, this is also losing. Over here, black could have simply, and see, in these structures like this, when the king is in the center, the bishop over here is on f2, any check on the d file, and it's just mate because of this pawn is there, the knight is there, the bishop is there, and the attack is completely solid. Black could have simply played the move queen takes b5, threatening a checkmate on d5, and it's just game over. And over here, black played the only slightly inaccurate move over here. Black played the move knight d7. Now, why is this move inaccurate? Because, okay, if like white has this move queen into b7, but after rook d8, black is simply winning because all the pieces are very strong, and there's no way how white is going to survive this position. But in the game, what happened was white took the rook on a8. Queen into b5 was played, threatening a checkmate on d5, and there is no way you can stop this mate. Like even a move over here, let's say like e3, it comes to no help because queen f1 is also coming with a checkmate over here. So over here, what was played was the move bishop to f4. But before we go into bishop f4, let us see what happens after knight f3. After knight f3, there is queen d5 check, bishop e2 is forced, and you simply take the bishop, and there is no way how you can stop knight c3 check. If you play a move like queen to h8, there is simply e5, and it's just game over. Knight c3 checkmate is coming, and white is defenseless. So in the game, what was played was the move bishop to f4. Now the idea of putting the bishop on f4 is that white wanted uh, to run away with the king on c1, but this again, it's too late. There's no way to escape. Queen d5 check was played, king c1, And now, guys, do pause the video and try to find the beautiful finish that black gave in this position. Over here, black played the move bishop to e3 check. And guys, this is just mind-blowing because this is such a strong move, like bishop into e3, and now black played the absolutely stunner knight to f2. The plan here over here is to give a checkmate on d1. Now, if you take the knight, there is simply queen d2 check, king to b1, queen d1 check, king a2 is forced, and queen c2. It's a beautiful checkmate. So over here, what was played in the game is the move king to b1. But again, after queen b5, white resigned because irrespective wherever you go, there is queen b2 which comes with a checkmate. So I hope you enjoyed this game. And in this game, we saw how black beautifully launched an attack right from the very start when white played critical mistakes that white did over here, like b5. Again, it's a mistake, and then after c5 and d4, this was just game over because after queen a5 check, there was no looking back for black, and you can see that how with each move, I mean bishop c5, it's already 0-1, and you can see the beautiful attack that black had, and white honestly had no answers to all the moves over here, and whatever white is playing, it's just losing over here. The only slightly inaccurate move that black played in this game was knight b2 d7, but again, the position is so bad for white that he could not survive this. So I hope you enjoyed this game, and if you like this game, don't forget to like this video, to subscribe to our channel, and I will be back soon with a fresh episode with something new. So do keep following us and see you soon. Bye.